Screw that ominous intro. Hello there, and welcome back to more Final Fantasy VI. Last time, we saved the world and defeated Kefka atop his tower, restoring the world to its balance. We're back here on the title screen, because, yeah, we did it. After the credits concluded, the game kind of boots you into this The End screen, where you then can kind of save your endgame data. But other than that, you kind of get just kicked out to the title screen. But why are we here today? If we defeated Kefka, what else is there to do? Well, actually there's quite a few little things I wanted to talk about with this episode. This is mostly going to be an episode focused around just cleaning up anything that I didn't mention or forgot to mention, or extra little things that are exclusive to other versions of Final Fantasy VI that I want to go over, as I had mentioned in previous episodes. One thing I actually want to go over real quick is the extras feature here in the main menu. This will be our first thing. We have the bestiary, which I've already gone over, but we also have the music player, which, if you have any interest in the Final Fantasy VI OST, be it the arrangement version for Pixel Remaster, or the original version of Final Fantasy VI's OST, you can hear it here in the menu. I guess we can go ahead and play some of the original music. Let's go ahead and play the Veldt, why not? And while you listen to the music, you can see the little character sprites and whatnot interacting and walking across the top. It's really cute. This is a nice little area to just kind of, you boot up the game, play the music, you can let them play all in order, and keep looping, and you can pad your game hours a little bit. It's really nice. I've used this a few times to just record music for the videos, but, yeah, it's really nice. There's not really much to talk about here other than that. There are, unfortunately, you can't listen to, all of the versions of Dancing Mad's movements individually. You'll have to listen to the whole thing. Same thing with, Balance is Restored, which is the ending theme. But it is here if you want it. It is a really nice feature. I can't believe it took this long for me to finally go over the music player. Next is the gallery. Now, the gallery has a few images we can look at. Like, for example, let's say the city. We can see some of the amazing artwork by Yoshitaka Amano whenever he was working on this game, and you can see some amazing art. Amano is one of my favorite artists, and the fact that he's worked on so many different Final Fantasies really elevates it for me. There's so many pieces of art here that I wanted to use for, thumbnails, but I couldn't figure out a way for it to work with my standard thumbnail style without cutting out something very important. So I wanted to go ahead and give it time here to go ahead and showcase as many of them as I can right here for your viewing pleasure. Now, obviously, I don't want to show all of them. You can go get the game. I'm sure most of these images are online somewhere. If you don't want to buy the game, just look at all of them. But there's some really nice pieces of artwork here. There's the boys, there's the lads there. Oh man, the ensemble, I love that name. And as you can see, Amano is a big fan of drawing Terra. He has not made it a secret that he really enjoys drawing Terra. And I had my fair share of pick when it came to which Amano design I wanted to use for Terra when it came to her character bio, because I had a lot of choices. But other than that, let's go ahead and click on Load Game, because we have a completed file here, as you can see with the little star emote to the top next to our file. We can see when you cleared the game, how many hours you have on the top right, and it will set you in the Falcon with Setzer only in your party. Let's go ahead and hop right in. Now, while there technically is a very few small things I can do in the Pixel Remaster now, even though I've completed the game, I'm pretty much done. But there are still some things I want to go ahead and clear up. First things first, we are set with Setzer. All of the gear that he had at the time of you completing the game will still be on him. Any Espers he had equipped and whatnot will still be there. Now, similarly, if I'm remembering correctly, yes, every single character will still have all of their gear equipped as you had them whenever you challenged Kefka. They will all be here, just kind of chilling around. And if we go ahead and depart with the Falcon, you will be set right before you challenged Kefka. You can go back into the tower and fight him again and again and again, which is actually quite useful for something we're going to talk about in a little bit. But I'm not going to go over that just yet. Instead, I want to talk about something that is something that I had written down in my notes that I wanted to see if I could try and get throughout the playthrough. But I surprisingly was never ever able to pull it off. And that requires me getting some of my party members to low HP. So I'm going to go ahead and group some team members together, get them to low health, and I'll see you back probably in Narshe, maybe? That seems like a pretty decent area to try this out. Okay, we're at low HP, and we're here in Narshe just kind of hanging out. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm going to see if I can try and get every single character's Desperation attack. Remember, these are abilities that can be only used when you're at critical HP. Unfortunately, they are a little difficult to actually get your hands on, as you actually have to survive for a certain duration of time in combat before they can actually show up. So we're going to have to be sitting here and just kind of guarding for a little bit before we can actually utilize these abilities. Now I have the combat on fast so that we can kind of get this out of the way, but hopefully we can get this done and over with quickly. Now there's a 1 in 16 chance of me actually being able to pull this off with each character, and so we've got a bit of an uphill battle here. We just gotta hope that these enemies aren't going to be strong enough to kill any of my guys before their time has come. See if we can heal Cayenne. They really don't like him. Okay, let's try and see if we can get this going. Okay, well, that's not gonna work. Oh, I have the Valiant Knife on him. Whoops. I probably shouldn't have that on it. Okay, no Desperation attack there. What about you, Cayenne? Nope. What about you, Shadow? Nope. Okay, Locke. Mirage Dive! There it is! Alright, there's there's Locke's Desperation move right there. Oh, and Shadow learned Curaga. Nice. Alright, well, Locke, you're free to go, I guess. I guess I can have him play healer now. He can be fully healed and whatnot. But, alright, cool. There's Mirage Dive, which is a powerful physical attack, if I am not mistaken. Actually, no, it's a magical attack. All of these Desperation moves will ignore defense in its entirety. So they're pretty strong moves just overall because they are incredibly powerful. Their base damage is insane. And their ability to just deal damage at any point in the game is crazy. Now, I wouldn't suggest you rely on them and use them as kind of a crutch, but they're Desperation attacks, you know, if they're kind of like a last-ditch effort if you're at low HP. Yeah, can you guys hit Locke, please? I don't want to have to raise any of these guys again. Okay, Interceptor, can you not take down my guys? Alright, well, let's see if we can get Shadow out of here. Shadow Fang, there we go. Nice! 7,300 damage. Now, that is magical damage, and will also apply sap to the enemy that it hits, if they survive the hit, that is. We can also go ahead and go bench Shadow, which will be pretty important. I wanted to get Shadow out of the way fast because of Interceptor. So, let's go ahead and bench that, and bring out some new party members, see if we can get more Desperation attacks. I kind of want to get this out of the way, because this is really the last real thing I can do here in the Pixel Remaster, other than maybe grabbing some items from enemies and going and belt farming, which I am not gonna do. I might grab some items, of course, but let's see here. I want Cayenne back. And let's go ahead and bring the brothers in, I guess. I have no intention of finishing out Velt farming and whatnot. I do have full intention of at least going ahead and finding a few items in Kefka's Tower that I did not grab, which is going to be pretty important. I was a little bit of a rush doing that segment, and so I'll need to make sure to grab those items and showcase where those are. And there's also a few cheeky things you can do with the Kefka fight in general that I want to show off as well. So I'll go ahead and do that whenever we get around to it. But for right now, I'm going to kill my party members so I can raise them from the dead. There it is, Tsubame Geishi! Like the little black screen cut right there. Nice! Alright, there's Cayenne done. Let's go ahead and move on to the next guy. Royal Shock! Nice! Alright, Sabin, don't disappoint. Okay, you're disappointing me, Sabin. Alright, but I've gotten wise, though. I just start healing the enemy until I get it. Until I get what I want. Have these guys defend until then. Alright, come on. No! Don't die, Sabin. I mean, I want you, like, almost dead, but I don't want you to be dead. Come on, Sabin. No! I guess we can have... we'll keep defending. I'm feeling lucky. I'm feeling lucky. There we go, Tiger Break, max damage. Thankfully, it's also magic-based, like a lot of his other blitzes, so having him have a crap ton of magic really helps that too. Now, while there's some really, really cool desperation attacks, and honestly, it's been very annoying trying to get some of them to go here, there is absolutely one of them that I want to show off before we move on, because, yeah, as much as I would love to sit here and try to get all 14 of them, there's one that I'm particularly looking for. And no, it's not Terra's. It's Mog's. Because of course it is. I have a bias towards this character. And of course I want to show off his desperation move. Of course. So let's go ahead and see what he can do. But first things first, I have to, you know, set him on fire and then raise him from the dead. You know, general stuff. I guess actually, real quick, while I'm on the topic of Moogles and Mog, I actually do want to bring something up that's really cool. So there's this glitch, but I guess it really wouldn't be considered a glitch. At the very, very beginning of the game, when you are defending Terra with Locke in the group of Moogles, the character data for those Moogles are actually based off of future characters that you will later get. And there's a funny little glitch that can happen where if you are able to skip getting Celeste during Locke's story segment, Celeste will actually appear in your party, but it'll be in the placeholder version that the placeholder Moogle that has all of her data in it, and I think that's really interesting. So I guess technically speaking, you are playing with most of your party members at the very beginning of the game. Just they're all Moogles. It's a small, very obscure piece of information that I just wanted to go ahead and talk about. Oh, that's right. I have jump on him, don't I? Oh, that sucks. I have given this Lucavi a fate worse than death. I am piercing it and ripping its insides out with a spear and then healing its wounds and repeating the process. I can't even imagine the pain that this thing is going through. There it is, Moogle Rush, there we go. Oh man. I must have the worst luck of any individual on the planet today, because I was here for like a good 9 minutes just healing that one Lucavi over and over again, trying to get that to work. Holy crap. I am not doing that for every single character. I just want to show off a few highlights. But that's our first point done for today. Now I want to talk about something that is absolutely not intentional in this game. And if you were someone who played in the SNES version of Final Fantasy VI, you might have run into this, but you might have not. And this all has to do with our little devil gremlin child here, Relm. Oh boy, I've alluded to this a few times, but... So, while I cannot perform what I'm about to talk about here in the Pixel Remastered version, I want to go ahead and just talk about it here. and we can walk around with Realm while we do so. So, there is this nice little ability Realm has called Sketch. You may have heard of it. And Sketch isn't really all that interesting of an ability, in my personal opinion. It's not very strong. It doesn't really do... the abilities that it does mimic aren't very useful. And there's really not much reason to use it other than to help Strago learn some lore abilities. However, in the Pixel Remaster... sorry, not the Pixel Remaster. It's not in the Pixel Remaster version. In the SNES version of this game specifically... if you were to sketch certain enemies with certain conditions on, like based on where certain magic was in your spell list, or where, which enemies you sketched and how you sketched them, and which abilities showed up, and if your sketch was to succeed, certain interesting things would happen. Now, I don't have any footage of this personally that I've recorded, but I do have a few screenshots and footage that I have borrowed from wonderful sources, which I'll put the link to the description to the actual videos I am using to showcase this stuff for. But, so the sketch glitch was interesting. Now, it did a few things. And by a few things, I mean a lot. You could change your overworld sprite to be of regular NPC characters or like Magitech armor. You could accidentally give yourself 255 of every single item in the game, including rare, unique weapons and armor. There would be cases where your entire screen would bug out, or you would give characters that aren't Go-Go special abilities that they normally don't have access to. Or you know, you would just normally crash your game. There were so many weird things you can do with this glitch. I've messed around with it myself personally a few times, but it is something that if you ever have the chance of like playing on an emulator or just have an actually, I mean, I wouldn't suggest you use this on a standard SNES cartridge because you can brick your game based on what sketch glitches you get. But if you ever have like an emulator of some kind, I would, you know, make a save state and maybe try it out a little bit. It's a really interesting glitch that doesn't really have a lot of use outside of just kind of trying to see what you can get and what shenanigans ensue. It is quite something. Now, I don't really have much else to talk about when it comes to the sketch glitch. I would have shown off a few things myself, but again, that plan fell through. But I wanted to go ahead and mention it here while I had the chance. While we're on the topic of version-exclusive content, I want to go ahead and pivot over to GBA-exclusive stuff. Starting with, unique espers is a big one. Now, the first one I want to go ahead and talk about would normally be found on this desert area next to Miranda and the Opera House. Now, this unique esper is, again, only found in the World of Ruin, and it's on this desert. Now, this esper, specifically, is the Cactuar, which is this cactus-like enemy. It's a very iconic Final Fantasy opponent that is found in most Final Fantasies, and is quite iconic and synonymous with the brand. Now, normally, what you need to do in order to grab the Cactuar is you need to run around this desert here and encounter, well, hey, there's a Cactuar right there, but you need to encounter the Gigantuar, which is basically a large Cactuar with I still have the steel thing on Go-Go there. It's a giant Cactuar with a bit of a mustache on them. And you would encounter it here in the desert, and once you've defeated it, you would obtain the Cactuar Magicite. Now, the Cactuar Magicite would give you speed +2 upon level up. Its ability would be 1,000 needles and sometimes 10,000 needles, which is quite powerful, and would teach you the abilities Teleport, Vanish, and Hastiga, which is, you know, pretty good. You know, that's a pretty decent lineup. Hastiga is like very useful. Teleport is nice whenever you're trying to navigate long dungeons like the well, I guess that is also version exclusive, so I can't mention that. Phoenix Cave is a big one, since there's only one way you can really opt out of that dungeon normally. So if you want to leave at any other point, you can use it there. But yeah, that's the first Esper that I wanted to go over. It is exclusive to the GBA version and the outdated iOS and Steam version of Final Fantasy VI. The next one is actually found technically in South Figaro, but that isn't exactly accurate. Let's go ahead and depart down to South Figaro. Now, this next this next Esper is something that I am very sad is gone from the Pixel Remaster version, and that is Leviathan. Now, normally there would be NPCs around Nicaea and South Figaro that would mention a sea monster that has been plaguing boats across the ocean from the Nicaea and South Figaro areas, as, you know, they are tied to each other when it comes to how you navigate boats. And once you've talked to enough NPCs mentioning that, if you were to hop on a boat going from South Figaro to Nicaea, which I will go ahead and showcase real quick. Let me go ahead and hop over to the port of South Figaro. So if you were normally wanting to go ahead and hop over to Nicaea, which you could, after talking to enough NPCs, your boat would then be attacked by Leviathan, and if you win in battle, then you obtain the Leviathan Magicite. Leviathan at level up would give you stamina +2, which isn't great. The stamina is kind of a useless stat for about 99% of the game. But Leviathan would have Tidal Wave, which is a party-wide water attack that would do quite a bit of damage, and would teach you the Flood spell, which is a unique spell outside of a few lore abilities that have a similar effect. It's a powerful water spell that did quite a bit of damage, and if you had earrings equipped and whatnot, it would be a very, very strong party-wide water attack that could get you through quite a bit of the game. Our next Magicite has us heading over to Jidoor for a very small visit. Now, normally in Jidoor, you can obtain a few certain Magicites already, thanks to the auction house. But there would actually be one extra item you can obtain in the auction house in those versions of the game, being the Excalibur. Now, the Excalibur is a pretty decent weapon, stats-wise, but in terms of it actually being useful, it isn't at all. Instead, it is mainly used to be a trading token at the Dragon's Neck Coliseum, where, if you were to trade it in, you would go up against the man, the myth, the legend himself, Gilgamesh from Final Fantasy V. And if you were to defeat Gilgamesh in combat, you would obtain the Gilgamesh Magicite. This one I'm really sad is not in the game. Gilgamesh would use a variety of different abilities if you were to summon him in combat. He would have a chance of utilizing the Masamune ability, which would do decent damage, the Enkidu ability, which is his buddy in Final Fantasy V, which would be quite interesting. He could also use the Excalibur in combat, which you don't want because it's not a very strong weapon, but he could also use the Excalibur action in combat, which would do a boatload of damage. Upon level up, Gilgamesh would give you Strength +2, which is very, very, very nice, and would teach you Quick and Valor. Now, Valor was very strong. It was a party-wide effect that would allow for every single party member's next physical attack to do triple damage. It was insanely strong, and I'm a little sad that it is gone, but honestly, doing maximum damage in this game isn't very difficult, even with physical attacks being kind of outshined by magic damage. So, it's not a huge loss, but it is sad to see it go. Now, our next topic is about unique dungeons to the GBA and original Steam version, and that would be the Dragon's Den and the Soul Shrine. Now, the Dragon's Den is very similar to Kefka's Tower, where you would utilize 3 parties to navigate the dungeon, helping each other along the way and battling strong bosses, including rematches with the 8 powerful dragons, along with a new dragon, the Kaiser Dragon, which is a very strong enemy. And once you've defeated them, would give you the final Magicite we've yet to talk about, Diabolos. Now, Diabolos is pretty interesting. Because of how late in the game you get them, they honestly aren't all that impressive, and I'm not really that sad to see them go. At level up, they would give you a 100% bonus to your level up HP bonus, which was very useful in trying to max out your party's HP if that was something you were trying to go for. Perfectionist files and whatnot. And their ability was Dark Messenger. Now, Dark Messenger was pretty interesting. Now, the way that Dark Messenger worked is pretty weird. It would do damage based on a fraction, and it would do about 93 to 94% of your target's maximum HP, while ignoring death resistances and giving the enemy the sap debuff at the cost of 100 MP. So it would put the enemy's HP down to super low and then would poison them and would hopefully kill them immediately afterwards after 1 or 2 ticks. It's a little weird, but I mean, it's cool as a kind of capstone Esper ability. Other than that, Diabolos would teach you Gravaga and Gravaja. I'm not really a big fan of this Esper, and I'm kind of okay that it wasn't in this version, but the other 3 Espers that we missed out on, I'm a little peeved that they aren't in this version. But again, that isn't anything super major, but it does kind of make me sad. Another thing that makes me sad is the Soul Shrine not being in this game. Now, normally, once you defeated the Kaiser Dragon within the Dragon's Den, you would unlock the Soul Shrine. Now, the Soul Shrine kind of acts as Final Fantasy VI's Super Boss Dungeon, where you would go up against a series of 128 different battles against various enemies from across the game, including rematches against super strong opponents. For example, like the Samurai Soul from the Ancient Castle, or certain Tonberries, or even rematching the 8 Elemental Dragons again, along with the Kaiser Dragon. You would have to fight these guys again and again. There would be really strong loot within the Soul Shrine that would give your characters the most powerful armor and weapons that they can ever wield, and would really be the ultimate test of your skill in Final Fantasy VI. Again, I am a little sad to see these features gone in the Pixel Remaster version, but I think, for the most part, I'm kind of okay that they aren't here. Yes, it really does suck to not have an in-game option where you can really stretch your stuff in this game. But, you know what? I'm okay with that. If I want to go ahead and play those versions, I have a GBA on me. I just don't have a way of recording footage for it. I tried. But I don't want to get down in the dumps too much. There is one last major thing I want to do today before we call it for good, and that requires me going back into Kefka's Tower. Now, there's a few pieces of loot that I did not grab that I need to make sure to do, and I also just kind of want to showcase just how weak this mad god truly is. So I'm going to go ahead and set up for that. If you were curious, move out of the way! I know, it's not really that major, but I wanted to go ahead and showcase that anyways. Now, just before Party 2 confronts the demon, there is a treasure chest right down here that contains a ribbon. Now, this is the big piece of gear that I forgot to grab on my way to confront Kefka, and I just wanted to go ahead and make note of that now. How many ribbons do we have now? I know I have some characters equipping some, but let's see how many we've got just kind of chilling. 3, wow, okay. This is still one of the best relics in the game, and I highly suggest you equip it. Maybe not for the Kefka encounter, but if you are if you're struggling with any of the ailment-based bosses, I'd say there you go. So there's one last thing I want to do before we call it quits for good, and that is to take down Kefka once again. Now, one thing about this fight that I'm not a big fan of is just how easy he is. Now, obviously, if you are a first-time player, you may expect Kefka to be super difficult because, well, he's the god of magic at this point in the narrative. And you're super over-prepared, and you leveled up, and you got all of your teammates ready to go. And then all of a sudden, he's just, you know, kind of a pushover. Even if you aren't level grinding or trying to build your team up to be the best it can be, if you have at least some semblance of an understanding of how this game works, Kefka just kind of goes down pretty easily, which is a big shame. And I tried to give him a chance with my attempt on him in this playthrough, but I'm not going to give him that luxury anymore. I am going to rip him to shreds, and while it won't be in the most overpowered way possible, it'll still be in a really funny way. I guess something else I want to talk about is that I am as I've said many times, I am no professional voice actor. I tried my best to give Kefka as much personality as I could, but I struggled so much, not because it hurt to voice Kefka or anything, or I thought I was bad, but mostly because every single time I voiced Kefka, I pretty much always had to re-record everything I did with him in post, because I would record his voices live as I was reading the text during the recording, only to find out that I had peaked my mic like 8 different times and you could not hear anything I was saying. So I always had to go back and like tone down what I was saying, and sometimes I couldn't replicate the amount of emotion that I had whenever I was recording it initially, and I could definitely hear it a lot in certain Kefka recordings. But I tried to do my best. I don't think voice acting is in my future, I'll say that much though. The one major difference we're going to be adding here versus our initial attempt against Kefka is I'm going to be bringing Locke in instead of Cayenne, because I'm going to try and steal from the third movement bosses, Lady and Rest, because they hold some pretty interesting stuff, I'll say. Other than that, though, I gave Celestriad and Soul Thamasa to Terra so she can spam Ultima without any repercussions whatsoever. I gave Hermes Sandals to Celeste so she can cast Re-Raise quickly, as well as provide healing without too much issue. And then I gave... actually, I don't think I did any changes to Sabin. However, I will be utilizing a funny little blitz to kind of bring the narrative full circle, as it would be. So let's go ahead and set this up. I am so confident in myself, which I feel like should not be saying, but I'm very confident that I can do this with just these 4 party members. I do not need backup at all. But I guess just in case, let's go ahead and bring Setzer in as 5th. Alright, let's get a move on. Now, I tried to make sure all of the music looped at least once during this encounter. And I'm going to, hopefully not have any issues here. Now, when it comes to Locke right now, because he doesn't really have anything to do, I'm just going to kind of have him defend. And then we'll go ahead and set up Phantom Rush. And then Terra is going to dual cast. We're going to dual cast a few things here. We're going to dual cast a group-wide haste. And then we're going to do some ultimas. And then we're going to have Celeste just work on re-raising. And then we're going to auto-battle here. Again, this is not the most, overpowered way of taking down this boss, but I wanted to kind of pace myself just a little bit. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, we can start dual casting ultimas. And then we can begin re-raising Locke. I guess we can technically have Locke just kind of heal a little bit here. Provide something, at least. The first movement of Dancing Mad, I always see getting the least amount of attention when it comes to, what's their favorite and whatnot. Which is a little unfortunate, because I think this is a really good piece of music, especially the first movement. Yes, it isn't my favorite movement that goes to movement 3, but this is still a really good part of the song. Honestly, if I had to pick, a least favorite movement, it would probably be the second movement. There are some discussions on, what exactly the Statue of the Gods represents. There are people who believe that it represents the 3 Warring Triad members, which is a pretty valid theory, where we're kind of going in a rematch against all of them, being it would be the Fiend, the Fiend, the Goddess, and then the Demon, I believe, is the order of operations. Or there's also the theory that it is a reference to the Divine Comedy, Dante's Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso, where we have Hell, the very bottom of the boss of the statue represents Hell, the middle represents Purgatory, and the third layer represents Heaven, where at the very top of the statue lays God, which in this case would be Kefka. Now, I am someone, I really, really like the depiction of Kefka as a god here. Now, I personally am not a religious person myself. But one thing I always found interesting about Kefka and this entire, like, the idea of Kefka's finale representing the Divine Comedy and whatnot is it's so in a lot of Final Fantasies and just a lot of JRPGs in general, you're normally, I guess the best way of putting this is that you're normally killing God in these games. And while this isn't any different per se, there is one big change here. Kefka is someone who is making a mockery of everything that the world and the people who live in it believe in. So it's really interesting that he is sort of mocking the belief in a higher power and the gods and anything like that. He sees it as completely worthless and just gets a kick out of bastardizing the very concept of a higher power, because he's just that insane. And so I like to believe that the idea of this of the Statue of the Gods and whatnot representing the Divine Comedy is based around that. Now, obviously, that doesn't need to be the case, but it is a really cool concept in my opinion. I'm gonna go ahead and wait to see if I can get Terra's magic out first. There's Dispel, which isn't great, because there goes Re-Raise. I am waiting, Terra. There's so many enemies in this encounter that, at least this phase specifically, that it's a little difficult to keep track of everything, but we can go ahead and Razor Gale, I guess. Honestly, I think most of them should die with this Ultima cast. Yeah, with 2 of them. There's 10-hit combo, so Strength is also going to die here. Which Terra and Celeste will be fine. If Locke goes down, though, that would really suck. I think it's 6? Oh, Sabin's gonna go down, though. That's unfortunate. Well, good thing I brought backup. So, whenever a phase concludes... Oh, wait, no, we still have the Statue of the God's F. Alright, cool. You know, for me saying that I was going to rip this fight apart, I am kind of getting my ass kicked. Oh, yep, there we go. They're dead. Alright, so Sabin is going to get replaced with Setzer, which is fine. I brought Setzer along because I like fixed dice. Now, the main reason why I brought Locke along was for this phase in particular, and it would have really sucked if I lost Locke immediately here. So yeah, now I also get to see the that Setzer gets slotted in where Sabin was. We're gonna go ahead and just Kiraga here. All right, let's start trying to steal from these guys. I am going to. Tornado shouldn't do too much because it's a. Let's go ahead and. Okay. Can you please cast your magic? Okay, we got sleeped there. That's unfortunate. We can't remedy that, which is really unfortunate. So we're gonna have to just play this legit. Let's do Cura. And then let's go ahead and just Ultima here, I guess. Because otherwise Statue of the Gods is gonna murder me. The lady is gonna murder me because she does White Wind and whatnot. I just want to get her down. Tornado is not really that annoying, because the only thing that'll really take us down afterwards is the physical attacks. So if we take down Lady right here, which she'll die right here, we can just kind of move on. Okay, so now we have to just deal with rest, which is not that difficult. There's Meltdown. We can just, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna heal the team. Oh, there we go. There's the Ultima weapon right there. Lady has the Ragnarok, which, because you can save your game after defeating Kefka over and over and over again, you can technically farm for Lightbringers here. And if you had the Ragnarok Esper, well, there you go. You can get a Ragnarok from Lady. There's not really much else for me to get here, though. So I'm gonna go ahead and start casting re-raises on my party. I think I already had... No, I didn't have one on her. Cool. I guess we can go ahead and start attacking as well. And then... We have re-raise already on Terra, so... If she dies due to this, it'll be not that big of a deal. Okay, we're getting some decent rolls with Setzer. I'll take it. There's Trine, which is an ability we didn't see beforehand. This has the chance of giving us ailments, like that. Group-wide silence kind of sucks. Let's go ahead and just... Oh, there's the Doom playing out. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that this was not my first attempt on the standard fight. I kind of did kick its ass the first time around. I'm gonna go ahead and Mega Elixir here. And then we're going to Remedy, Celeste, and then dual cast Ultima. But I mean, there's not really much for me to showcase when it comes to the Kefka encounter, so... Oh, there's Repose. It's going for Lock. I guess he didn't like the fact that I stole gear. So we're going into Kefka with a 3-man, which is even worse than I did previously. I guess this is what happens whenever I have a strategy, and so everything plays out the way I wanted it to initially, and whenever I'm kind of going into this guns blazing, it doesn't really work out. Yeah, maybe the Kefka fight is hard. Nah, I'm just playing this so sloppily. Now, unfortunately, a Heartless Angel is probably going to kill Setzer. You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you, Kefka? I love this model, by the way. I love the sprite work of Kefka's final form. Yep, there we go. There's the music kicking in. Let's go ahead and get a raise set up. I'm gonna go ahead and get a raise prepared and a full prepared. Nope. All right, we're good then. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do a re-raise on Terra, and then we're gonna start hitting him with dice. You know what? I'm all right that I'm okay that Sabin went down because it allows me to beat the crap out of Kefka with a bunch of dice. Okay, Setzer, can you get some good rolls though? Okay, okay, we got one decent roll in there. There's Havoc Wing, yeah, that brings him down pretty quick. Unfortunately, re-raise is not gonna work out there because, well, there's nothing to re-raise. Oh well, Ultima spamming is fun, at least. I think we have a re-raise on Celeste? I don't think she actually does. It's alright, well, we absorb magic anyways. Alright, Dice Man, get up. Let's cast re-raise on you again. There we go. Attack. Hyperdrive. That might actually kill Terra. Yeah, that will kill Terra. That's alright, we have re-raise for a reason. I love this music, dude. Movement 4 is probably my second favorite movement of Dancing Mad. Mostly just because of this segment. I'm not even though, yes, the whole, you know, crazy segment of the music, the fast-paced part is literally all that Kefka is. He's shit insane. I really like this slow segment. That kind of, the weight of the journey sort of sets in, and, well, yeah. And it's a very serious moment. Another thing is that Kefka dies without saying a single word. For someone who has a very large vocabulary and is normally trying to steal the show with his words, he dies quietly, which I find pretty poetic in a way. But maybe I'm reading too much into it. And with that, we're done. I have talked about and shown off everything that I can and wanted to. And, well, things didn't exactly go my way at every single turn. I'm pretty proud of what I did. And I hope every single one of you enjoyed this journey for what it was. Now, this series wouldn't have been possible, especially the character bios, wouldn't have been possible without the variety of information found on the internet that pertain to this game that have helped me learn way more about this game than I ever knew just a few months ago. I would say this is probably one of the Final Fantasies that after learning what I know now, that I probably knew the least about, which is pretty surprising. I've played this game a lot, and there's still so much I don't know about it. From specific numbers and how things work, to how damage is calculated, to where certain treasure chests are in dungeons. I wouldn't know a lot of these things. And so I'll put a list up on screen of sources and usernames that I want to thank for their information, whether it was given out 10 plus years ago or was talked about as little as 2 or 3 years ago, thanks to the release of the Pixel Remaster. Thank you so much for your information. It really helped me figure things out and streamline this series as well as I could. Now, obviously, as of the time of this recording, I'm still probably about a month away from actually editing and getting this video out, but I will go ahead and say this. Whenever this video comes out, there will be a combined character bio video released on this playlist as well, where you can watch every single Final Fantasy VI character bio all in one single place for your viewing pleasure. There will be some slight changes added to them as needed based on, potential grammar checks and information checks, and making sure all of the terms I used are consistent throughout all of them. And lastly, I want to go ahead and thank you once again for watching these videos and, just being here. This is something that, I'm still pretty new at, making videos and talking to the internet. It's pretty daunting. And I want to thank you for giving this channel a shot. And if this is your first video and you're just kind of here to see the compiled information, then, well, thank you for giving this video a shot, and I hope you stick around. Because what I have planned next, while I don't have another big playthrough ready to go very soon after this is done, I do have some new style of videos planned. And with a certain other Final Fantasy getting a huge content update here pretty soon, I want to go ahead and make certain videos spaced around that. But other than that, we're done. So once again, and for the final time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Meow.